So is it? So there's just pretty much two. I mean, Stanley Dancer, and then there's nothing in between. That's the game
Correct.
plan?
It'd be the Stanley Dancer, and then after everything goes well and he's healthy, we would
Okay.
enter into the Hambletonian.
Bada boom. So
Yeah.
and can you have fun now that you won the two? Well, Mohawk, you didn't go to the good times, but Empire Breeders' Classic was the next day, so there's really you couldn't enter in all
No,
three.
no.
So
we had to pick
you won the two biggest races that you could possibly be in
Right.
so far.
Correct.
That everybody could be in. Is your confidence right now at its height? Like, are you just? I mean, he went out and jogged today. Seemed like a normal day.
Yep. He's just a normal horse
Do you
out there
just try to
jogging.
keep it as normal as possible, and then just whatever we
Yeah,
gotta
you
do?
don't think in those terms, not at all. You know, every horse in here matters, and their ailments or strengths or weaknesses, you work on. So no, I don't go home and thinking at night just
Now,
about one horse.
Here's the question: what if you only had Devious Man? What if there was 55 other horses that weren't here? Would you be losing your mind
Yes,
right now?
I would be
Absolutely.
losing my
So
mind.
the fact that you got to go and race, you probably have 10 at Yonkers and 20 at Pocono and whatever else during the week, and where Philly and all these other places. So you don't have to. You can't sit there and worry about it.
Right. Yes, correct. I enjoy.
Let Elvis worry about it.
Yes, my caretaker. I put a lot of on my grooms, and that is his job to
That's
let me
his
know
job.
about
So stress.
sneezes or how was he in the field today? Is he acting the same or different?
I saw
And-
construction. There was a lot of bubble wrap over by his stall. Is that a construction of a bubble wrap chamber so he doesn't get hurt at all?
I tell you what, sometimes these horses would like to self-destruct. They just feel so good, and he's a stack colt, and you can't put him in a bubble. You have to turn him out, and you have to let him be a horse, and it's probably one of the hardest things as trainers do.
Well, you have your other off camera here. You have your other stud colt, TJ. Kids will just hurt themselves. Just like they're gonna bang off stuff. They're gonna, hey, mommy, look how fast I can go, right? I mean,
Correct.
so you can't really worry about, if anything, the sniffles. I'm sure you didn't take TJ to the emergency room every time he had the sniffles, right?
Absolutely correct. Yep, exactly. You can't control the environment. I can't control variables of rain or the track condition being poor or the draw. So
Does being a mom, because how old are you, TJ? 19. So you guys have been pretty much, how long before TJ was born, were you and Andy training together?
let's see.
Couple years?
Yeah, a couple years.
Did having TJ and the mom instinct and the dad instinct kick in to help you be a better trainer around the barn?
That is a great question, and I most definitely say this is my advantage over maybe other trainers in the sport. I was lucky enough to graduate with my bachelor's of science in nursing, so having that healthcare background really helps with horses. When they get their nicks and bruises and sniffles, like you're saying,
So
I can assess a horse. A lot of people can. It's a lot of common sense obviously involved in it, but I think my science and nursing background really have helped me be a better trainer. And the same thing, like you said, with being a mom.
Yeah.
You don't run to the doctor all the time. You make assessment.
This is level 1, Liz is level 2. Okay,
Correct.
now we need a pen. It's just a nick. Put
little Band-Aid and some peroxide and you'll be all right.
Yeah, Devious Man, get it back out there. It's just a boo-boo.
That's
TJ,
exactly.
get it back out there. It's no problem.
That's exactly how it works. Yes.
So, so being the mom and being all that stuff, that's.
I think it helps me be a better horse trainer, most definitely.
Does, since Andy's mostly the driver, does he rely on you to be mostly the barn, like everything at the barn, you're kind of in charge here?
Yeah, I would say, I always like to say our job is 50-50, and I'm including driving. Like, I love to qualify the horses.
Okay.
And if he's maybe not being able to track, I don't mind driving them. But no, it's definitely an input on both sides of the fence, on any aspect of the horses. But obviously, if he's at the track driving them and he leaves here to 10 in the morning to go to Chester, he relies on me to do the shoeing list, the vet list, the train list. Obviously, anytime I have a question and I feel like I need to bounce something off of him, I most certainly do.
And I'm sure it's both ways, right?
Oh, for sure. 100. We'll discuss, where we're going to stake him next, or how we're going to train him, or what groups. And I think this for vet work. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Because to me, quote unquote, it is Team Miller, but that's how it is here. I rely on my grooms heavily to tell me how their horses are. I rely on Andy, my assistant trainers.
You can't be with them all the time, so you got to know they're with them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day sometimes.
Exactly,
So.
and that's why my staff is vital, because they care just as much about the horses as I do, and for them to be able to give me more input, I can just make better decisions.
Now, I want to. I don't want to say it's a sensitive subject, but you had a couple horses on the Hambo Trail. So a couple years ago, we had Man of Many Missions, right?
Well, that was Irv trained Man of Many Missions.
But Andy drove him.
Correct.
Right. So Andy drove him. So that horse was the favorite, and maybe Andy would be better suited. But I think you can kind of get a feel for how Andy feels. That horse was the favorite in the Hambo final,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
And he drove the horse as a favorite should, and then he made a break in the stretch.
Yes.
Now, do you feel that drives like that have helped Andy become a better driver, or does he literally take that horse each race and just bubble it up and all right, move on to the next one?
The thing about like a Man of Many Missions, and I know a little bit about the horse, obviously, because it's my brother-in-law's horse. Irv did a heck of a job with the horse. He had chronic health issues, is to my understanding.
Okay.
And I think they just really tried to do the best they can management-wise. And it was an unfortunate, he made a break that day. I think the next week he bounced back and went just as fast and won the New Jersey Sire Stakes. So the best thing when you are having a rough spot or when things aren't maybe going your way, you got to turn the page.
How was Andy that night, that day? Were you busy doing your other stuff, like your own stable? Like, was he that night? Was he not able to sleep? Was he, or was he just stone cold and I just got to do my job?
You know what? You try to really isolate each situation. You're just as worried about the race 1, whatever that condition is, about race 7. That's a big stake race. You have to look at each thing individually, and anything that else is on your mind, you just put in your back pocket.
And maybe again, maybe if Andy only had that race that day, he'd be losing his mind probably. But
right.
The fact
you need
that
to be. You need to have your attention distracted. You can't just eat, sleep, and breathe one situation.
So is that part of the success? Is having so much stuff and knowing when to put it over here and put it over there, and we're not talking about horses now. Like, we're going out to dinner, forget it. I don't want to talk about horses.
You definitely compartmentalize, and it never happens. We'll say, a good example, oh, let's go to dinner Wednesday. He has Wednesday night off. We're just you and me, no kids, no. As soon as you sit down, we eat, sleep, and breathe this.
Sure.
This is our passion, our love. I can almost get teary-eyed because I'm so blessed to do what I love every day.
That's good. That's what I want to hear. Now, last year, we had Sutton, right?
Correct.
So Sutton, I don't really recall what he did at 2 years old. I think he was an upper-level horse.
Yep.
What did he do at 2 years old?
Yeah, he also had a couple health issues. We raced him lightly. Actually, he won in 54 at the Meadows. He had showing a lot of talent. So
right, he had flashes, but I don't. He didn't win like any of the major races, right? Because Southwind Frank pretty much
he
swooped
dominated,
everything. Yeah.
and even though he was in New Jersey Sires, we were PA. We really thought a lot of him, so we just shut him down early.
Okay.
Then kind of more guided him for his 3-year-old year.
Okay. Now, right out of the gate, he qualified in 51 in a piece.
Yes.
So, going into the qualifier, and I think the whole theme of this is, we went through this last year and now we're back again, but there's stuff you can learn and stuff you can pull and
Absolutely.
Not. But like Sutton, you come right out of the gate, bang, 51. Was that, do you let Andy, was that a discussion, hey, we want to go 51, or just the horse felt good that day and we want to make a statement?
Yeah, and we're not the type of stable that, quote unquote, say we want to make a statement or want us to be the feared horse. Obviously, when Andy qualified him, he felt good. He felt comfortable. He was within his hands.
Sure.
Qualifying. So when a horse feels like that, you let them do their thing because then they just feel strong.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if the horse felt uncomfortable or was unsettled, he would have drove him differently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we trust Andy enough, right?
Yes.
He's earned his keep.
I trust a lot of him enough to do that.
You trust him. Now, so now, boom, he makes a statement. And now everybody's like, oh, Southwind Frank hasn't gone that fast. And there's a couple of other ones. And now all of a sudden you're thrust because you didn't do much at 2. And I'm sure you knew you had talent. But now all of a sudden he's thrust into the spotlight. He was the fastest 3-year-old up until, I think, Hambletonian Day.
Correct.
Where they finally went faster.
Right.
So how was... And he ended up finishing third in the Hambletonian.
Yep, we were third by a head in the Hambletonian. I mean, Marion Marauder had a successful season.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times the buzz comes out, with social media or with any articles that the publicity departments are doing, and the model of consistency horse all year is Marion Marauder.
Mm-hmm.
You had talks of bar hopping, Sutton,
Yeah.
Southwind Frank, and all those horses would have their ups and downs. The only one to stay consistent all year was Marion Marauder, till right there at the end with the Breeders' Crown. But I mean, look at how he's already bounced back this year.
Yeah.
So I take my hat off to those guys. They've done an excellent job managing that horse.
Now Sutton, was there? Did you feel that you could not only compete, because obviously he can compete, but did you feel like, okay, we need Andy to work his magic with the best trip? Or how do you guys discuss how we're going to beat the horse, or we don't think about that, just get our horse as ready as possible?
Yeah, I think we're more of the get our horse ready as possible. And obviously we are in, I think, a better position because Andy does know the horses. He had a lot of chronic health issues that we were dealing with. And I think that was probably the day that he had peaked with the best condition we could have him in.
Sure.
So after the first elimination, Andy said he was, a little rocky. He said if he feels good post-Braden, I'm going to send him out of there.
Okay.
And that's what he did. He shook loose a little late, or, maybe we would have had that nice title.
Yeah, yep.
But I was really proud of Andy having the confidence in the horse to feel how the horse felt, to put him in the right position for the race.
Do you guys, now that we went through, how many Hambo starters have you had?
I know my first one was the Chancellor.
Okay. No,
He was probably about 5, I'd say.
Okay, so, and they're all in the 2-heat format?
No, I had a couple with the elims and finals.
So now we're back to 2-heat format over the last couple of years. So are you going to alter his training over the couple weeks? Because like Sutton, what did you do last year? Did you alter did you maybe train him 2 trips or harder or softer? Knowing that he's going to have, it's because they only do that twice, Hambo and Kentucky Futurity, where they race 2 heats. So what do you do differently?
You know what? We don't do much differently in the fact of Devious Man's training program or Sutton's, but they're 2 different horses on how their training program is, because one had health issues and unfortunately Devious Man does not. So you can really, I try to do each training program that fits the horse.
Fits the horse, okay.
Versus maybe a format, because, I hate to say my age, but I grew up when you always had 2-heat racing at county fairs and at the races, at Springfield and DuQuoin, they would have double 2 heats in a day. So it's really not that much difference to me. I think the media likes to talk about it for something to say, but if your horse is fit, they're going to be able to go 2 heats.
Well, that's what I've kind of figured out is the top stables are top stables for a reason. Mostly their fitness for the general fitness for all the horses, they're at the top level. So you throw an extra little bit. I mean, when athletes go into overtime or things like that,
very good analysis.
They're not really, like, they're already at their peak, because I feel like at the end of one race, you shouldn't be 100% drained. You should be fit enough and conditioned enough to bounce back fairly quickly and go another heat.
Correct. You have a great analogy. Overtime or a shootout at the hockey game. They're tied up. Phil Mickelson and Sergio. They have to go another hole.
Yep.
It's the same difference. And your true athlete and true competitive horse, they'll give the extra effort.